Thank you. Hi, good evening, everybody.
Not yet, not
I
yet.
am.
I will tell you, dear.
Oh, okay, sorry. Eu se apresentar.
Now you can start. You can start, Beatriz.
All right, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am Professor Dr. Beatriz Lucia Salvador Bizotto from Brazil. And for me, it's a great pleasure to be here. At first, I would like to thank Dr. Supriya Kumaravelan for the invitation for this webinar. And I would like to thank Mina ma'am for her kind invitation too. And I would like to talk a little bit about IIU, the International Internship University, that is leading a virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well-reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries and 6 continents under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit Sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various social and cultural backgrounds. I take the privilege to be a trainer resource person for the training session by the Training, Learning and Development Department of the International Internship University. Thank you very much for IIU for this opportunity to be here speaking for you today. Thank you very much. I would like to share my presentation now. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Miss Mina, please can you tell me if my slides are going to pass properly, okay, or if you stop something, you can let me know, okay?
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm going to start, and today I'm going to talk about smart grids, okay?
Okay.
Conscious use of technology for innovative advances in the field of renewable energy, communication, and smart grids. Let's see first today's paths we are going to follow here. We are going to talk about smart grids, the benefits, smart grids and microgrids, motivational factors, possible technologies, international and national scenarios, a research, and then in the last moment, I'm going to talk about a research in Brazil, okay? The importance of smart grids and microgrids. The smart grids are composed of a series of automations and technologies that mainly aim to provide security, convenience, and sustainability to the energy supply. A smart grid, it is an electrical network that uses information, technology, sensing, and automation in order to provide electrical energy efficiently, reliably, and safely. The new models of electrical consumption require more modern and complex distribution networks. The smart grids are composed of a series of automations and technologies. The new models of electrical consumption require more modern and complex distribution networks, as I was saying before. In their traditional design, smart grids incorporate digital technology in their traditional design to facilitate that two-way exchange of energy and information. And thanks to the internet, information and communication technologies, control systems, and more innovative computer and home automation applications. Challenges of the smart grids. Iberdrola is a world reference in smart grids. The Iberdrola Group considers that networks are an essential factor, both for electrifying the economy and for stimulating the regions where the company is present. Therefore, it considers regulated assets, together with renewable energies, key factors for the success of its strategy. With more than 170 years of experience, the Iberdrola Group is today the leader in the global energy sector, the first wind generator and one of the largest electricity companies in terms of the market value in the world. The group was 2 decades ahead of the curve in terms of the energy transition to combat climate change and offer a clean, reliable, and smart business model. Strategy. The company already controls one of the most important distribution systems in the world, with more than 1.2 million kilometers of distribution and transmission, more than 4,500 substations, and more than 1.6 million transformers built and operated to offer a high quality and reliability to more than 32 million electricity supply points. In this way, the smart grid is able to respond to the needs of citizens, electricity demand, and potential incidents that can occur. Smart grids are capable of integrating renewable energy installations of different sizes, and thanks to their bidirectional condition, the user can be both a consumer and a producer. They can generate energy and sell it to industrial or commercial users. How do smart grids work? The operation of the smart grid is more complex than that of the traditional grid, since it uses remote management by incorporating automating information and control systems that respond to fluctuations in energy production and demand. The operation is more complex, as I was telling before, and as a result, we have information on energy consumption permanently, allowing the consumer to make a more responsible use of the entire cycle. And in addition, we know the status of each node, segment, and element, increasing the operational efficiency and effectiveness of the lines. Smart grids cover all the technological infrastructure that will be needed from energy generation, transmission, and distribution to electrical storage and consumption of generated energy. Iberdrola continues to work on the modernization, digitalization, and automation of the networks, as they are key elements to improving the quality of the distribution system. In its investment plan for the period of 2020 and 2025, Iberdrola will allocate more than 27 billion euros to the network business, 40% of the planned organic investment. The United States will receive the largest investment, around 11,880 million euros, 44% of the 27 billion, followed by Brazil with 5,670 million, 21%, the United Kingdom with 4,860 million, 18%, and Spain with 4,590 million, which corresponds to 17%. In this way, the group's regulated asset base will reach 47 billion euros in 2025, sorry. In addition, the group further increases its goals and objectives. With the expansion of its investment plan to 150 billion euros by 2030, the company plans to double its asset base in relation to the beginning of the plan and reach 60 billion euros by 2030, the end of the period. Investments. This investment takes place because Iberdrola firmly believes that the transition to a decarbonized and fully renewable system is not possible without modern and flexible electrical transmission and distribution networks capable of efficiently integrating the new emission-free power. For this reason, in recent years, the Iberdrola Group has installed around 15 million smart meters worldwide, as well as remote management, supervision, and automation capabilities have been incorporated into the network. By the end of 2025, more than 21 million smart meters will be installed, and 83% of their assets will be in the Class A countries. In this way, the Iberdrola Group responds to the new trends in the relationship with its customers, offering them more personalized products and services and more active management of their electricity consumption. At the same time, the company also makes an effort to minimize the impact of its facilities on the environment, while at the same time launching challenges through the international program of startups, pursue in research of innovative solutions to further reduce this impact. All this effort made the group a world leader in the development and implementation of smart grids. The Iberdrola Group started investing in renewable energies more than 2 decades ago as a fundamental pillar on which to build its clean, reliable, and intelligent business model. The company is now the world leader in renewable energy, with 38,000 MW of renewable capacity installed worldwide at the end of the first quarter of 2022, and leading the energy transition to a low-emission economy. A commitment that is reflected in its investment plan for 2025, now extended until 2030, through which it intends to double its capacity in renewable energies up to 60 GW in 2025, and that would reach 95 GW in 2030. This solid growth is confirmed by the more than 7,500 MW of renewable capacity that are under construction and at the end of the first quarter of 2022. A smart contract. What is a smart contract? A smart contract is an agreement between two people or entities, in the form of automatically programmed self-executing computer code. The idea was proposed in the 90s by Nick Szabo, a pioneer of modern computing, who defined them as a set of virtual promises with some associated protocols to enforce them. The Bitcoin protocol, which basically records the constancy of a payment, can be thought of as a primitive version of a smart contract. Smart contracts run on the blockchain, which implies that the terms are stored in a distributed database and cannot be modified. Transactions are also processed by the blockchain, which automates payments and counterparties. Since the emergence of the digital currency Ethereum, the creation and execution of smart contracts was simplified, as complex transactions can be programmed in its protocol. How a smart contract works. The functioning of a smart contract is similar to that of other transfers via blockchain. A user initiates a transaction from their blockchain wallet. The transaction arrives at the distributed database where the identity is confirmed. The transaction is approved, which may be a transfer of funds. The transaction includes the code that defines which type of transaction must be executed. Transactions are aggregated as a block within the blockchain. Any change in the state of the contract follows the same process to update itself. Smart contracts platforms. Some of the most commonly used platforms to develop and run smart contracts on the blockchain. We have Ethereum. Smart contracts are written in a programming language called Solidity and are executed by the, the virtual machine of the Ethereum network. Hyperledger, an open source system developed by the Linux Foundation that is not a cryptocurrency, but a flexible platform on which smart contracts can be developed. Counterparty. This platform includes data for Bitcoin transactions. That is, it uses the blockchain of this cryptocurrency and allows you to develop contracts on it. Polkadot is an alternative blockchain protocol famous for its ability to host parallel blockchains or parachains, chains with chains, which allow for more transactions than usual. Applications of a smart contract examples. We have records. Smart contracts will facilitate the storage and maintenance of records. For example, the millions of confidential patient medical histories that must be securely stored and updated. Business. Most commercial activities depend on the approval of your financing, which is a time and resource consuming process. Supply chains. They can be used throughout the supply chain to record each step taken by a product and improve its traceability. Errors, theft, and a misplacement can be eliminated. Now let's talk about mortgage loans. It will allow buyers to gain access to the property before and update records automatically. Real estate market. Smart contracts can be used to register property ownership more efficiently. Trends. Smart contracts. Smart contracts to formalize agreements in the digital age. The smart contract or smart contract guided by blockchain technology. The smart contract or smart contract, as we were telling before, is written in virtual language and has the ability to be executed and respected by itself, autonomously and automatically based on a series of programmed parameters. Guided by blockchain technology, its main value lies in reinforcing security, transparency, and trust between subscribers, avoiding misunderstandings, falsifications, or alterations, and eliminating intermediaries. The benefits of smart grids: greater availability of energy for the consumer, lower transmission and distribution losses, lower environmental impact in case of the energy comes from renewable energy sources, reduction in network loading, greater variety in the energy matrix. Here you can see an example of smart grids. This system uses telemetry in meters across the entire network, allowing communication between everyone involved, suppliers, consumers, and of course, between machines. The smart grid focuses on the intelligent use of energy, storing it efficiently so that there is no waste. In addition to being sustainable, it optimizes energy management as it is much easier to locate when there is an anomaly in the network. Another important feature of the smart grid is the decentralization of power generation. Without the smart grid, as most of our electrical system is today, a single generator produces and distributes power to an entire area. So if something goes wrong, this whole region is without electricity. In the smart grid, small power plants called microgrids produce energy independently and distribute it connected to the main. If there is a problem in the main generator, it disconnects and continues to distribute electricity normally, okay? The impact on the end consumer. The smart grid allows consumers to monitor their energy consumption in real time through smart meters. Generally, only at the end of the month is possible to have an idea of how much in total, but with smart grids, it is possible to constantly monitor its use through the computer, tablet, or cell phone. I will drink some water, just a second, sorry. All right, let's go ahead. On the, I was saying, and on the top of that, with everything connected through the Internet of Things, you can program appliances to work at off-peak times when energy is cheaper because fewer people are using it and thus save money. Industries also benefit from the implementation of the smart grid. With it, it is possible to monitor the amount of energy being spent in each sector of the company and redirect this energy so that it is used more efficiently, which ends up reducing operating costs. The evolution of the electrical network, as we know, it has arrived and promises to benefit the interchain. As technology advanced, demand for electricity grew in parallel. However, the energy management and distribution system remain almost at the same as the last century. How is this possible when we use infinitely more energy? Well, currently in Brazil, 14.7% of the energy ends up being lost in the distribution process. A modernization of the current system is necessary, as it clearly does not meet the demand of the 21st century. It is in this context that smart grids arise. Smart grids and microgrids. Smart grids should be understood more as a concept than technology. And a microgrid is more efficient, secure, and manageable. A smart grid has intensive use of information and communications technology in the power grid microgrids. Its most efficient, secure, and manageable way to connect large numbers of small and medium-sized generators to current systems, connected or isolated operations from the concessionaire. Motivating factors: reliability, drivers' reliability and quality of supply, favorable consumer empowerment, favorable regulatory and market framework empowerment. Then we have reliability, social and environmental sustainability, and commitment and development. Enabling technologies: automation and digital control of the electrical network, electronic measurement, smart sensor network integration of small and medium capacity energy, generation and storage source power electronics devices, distributed generation, microgeneration and storage, integrated communication system like fiber optic, PLC, wireless, etc., enabling technologies. Segments of smart grids technology: infrastructure of communications automation, integration of assumer and AMIGD, and transmission automation. Let's start with the transmission automation. Systemic monitoring, control and protection schemes, wide area monitoring, protection and control, AAMPACS, examples, special protection systems, use of direct information from PMUs for monitoring and control. Substation automation, integration of protection functions like monitoring, data acquisition, oscillography, etc. Through intelligent electronic devices like IEDS, intelligent electronic devices, standardization, communications, distribution automation, automatic meter reading and metering infrastructure, collect consumer information, making information available to consumers, price signals, demand response, automatic fault detection and isolation, reconfiguration and service restoration, coordinated control of voltage and reactive flow, integration of distributed generation and microgeneration. Prosumer and AMI integration, distributed generation systems, ability to control and optimize demand, real-time response. Distributed generation and microgeneration and combined electricity and heat cold generation systems capable of substantially reducing energy consumption from the grid and eventually supplying energy to the grid. Ability to control and optimize the demand and local generation through the internet and other communication and information processing mechanisms, real-time response to energy price signals, and demand reduction requests to support utility system security. This is a typical micro network configuration. International scene. International organizations, you have USA, Gridwise, Modern Grid Initiative, DOE, and IntelliGrid. Europe, we have smart grid companies traditional like ABB, Siemens, Arriva. The new ones are IBM, Oracle, Cisco, Google concessionaire. In Italy, we have Enel, 30 million telemanagers. In Portugal, we have EDP, Inov, Grid Project, and Energy Box. These are just some examples. And in the national scenario, we have special protection systems, ONPMU application, Mr. Network for Oscillography and State Estimation, ONS, Security Monitoring Control. We have ONS and CPEL that are Phaser Measurement Pilot Project, UFS Coal Line, Monitoring of Voltage Stability. We have COPE and CESI, Distribution Centralized Electronic Measurement and Automation. We have AMPLA, Light, Eletropaulo, CEMIG, etc. PLC, BPL, and others, Opera, Samba, and the Digital Village of Barreirinhas here in Brazil. Regulation Public, Consultation on Electronic Measurement, DNL. More design is needed on solar panels, wind generator coal wave energy simulation, biodiesel generation. Some considerations are necessary. Real alternatives for optimizing the quality of electricity supply are technologies necessary of its implementation available at reasonable costs. Fundamental question: what is the assessment of the impact of these new technologies on the cost of energy for the final consumer? The topic is relevant and worrying. It has generated some discussions in the business and academic spheres. So I will present a research carried out in Brazil. Paths to Smart Grids, Global Analysis from a Scientific and Intellectual Point of View. Objective, it was to present a time frame of the world's most significant scientific and intellectual industrial activities related to smart grids. Introduction, the natural phenomena caused by solar and gravitational energies have always instigated human beings to capture their effects and use them for their benefit. The natural phenomena caused by solar and gravitational energies, I was saying that it's always instigated the human beings because, for example, heat and hydrological cycles were and will continue to be the main means that allow the generation of electricity. A key factor for the economic and social development of the nations. The Brazilian electricity sector faced a serious energy crisis between 2013 and 2015, exposing the fragility of the country's generation system and raising concerns about decentralizing and diversifying its electricity matrix. The Brazilian electricity had this serious energy crisis, as I said before, and they started raising concerns about that. In this sphere, distributed generation finds ways to spread in Brazil followed by a lack of knowledge of the effects, both technical and environmental, of the use of this resource in the Brazilian electric system. The entire Brazilian regulatory apparatus is still in infancy, analogous to the level of activity in the distributed generation sector and the use of alternative sources such as solar and wind compared to the opportunities available. Linked to this, the interconnections between the technologies and the socio-economic organizational systems are becoming broader and deeper, opening spaces for the research phase, given its particular importance, to generate new hypotheses, knowledge, concepts, and innovations. One of the most dynamic and essential systems for a human being is the energy supply for economic and social development. Faced with this, the traditional model of electricity generation based on hydrological mechanisms, centralized, is faced with modern networks, which use the concept of smart grids, presenting innovations to obtain greater flexibility, such as the insertion of generating units decentralized in the system, configuring the distributed generation. The generation and distribution. Distributed generation means that the source of electrical energy is near or close to consumers, regardless of power, technology, or energy source. And it is becoming more and more important in energy systems, decentralizing them and causing a transition. Regardless of power, technology, or energy source, and it is becoming more and more important in energy systems, the decentralization and cause a transition. The dynamics involved in these transitory processes are difficult to predict. Therefore, they represent a great challenge for stakeholders in the energy chain. A systemic analysis of the innovative technological aspect needs to be essential to reach a holistic understanding of the interaction of the different elements of DG and to create better technological solutions. Technological prospecting. Advanced countries and institutions increasingly place an emphasis on foresight processes, which create spaces for structured dialogue with a focus on systemic or transformative innovations. In Brazil, the National Institute of Industrial Property is called INPI, is the body that uses patent documents as a source of technological and statistical information to improve, disseminate, and manage the Brazilian system for granting and guaranteeing intellectual property rights. For Brazil, whose socio-economic development is still incomplete, one of the challenges is to increase the competitiveness of the national industry, which largely depends on innovative capacity. This premise depends on increasing business investments in research, development, and innovation, and encouraging projects with greater or better technological content, riskier, but which pay off, as they add more robust barriers against competition and can produce greater economic impact. Brazil's innovative technological activity shows a continuous trajectory of distance from countries considered to be the most innovative. You can see here in this graphic some countries about the global innovation indices. We have Swiss, we have Netherlands, Sweden, United Kingdom, Singapore, Finland, Denmark, Brazil, and United States. One of the reasons for Brazil not having an excellent performance in terms of innovation is the internal economic scenario. Inflation targets, floating exchange rates, primary surpluses, and cuts in expenditures, which tends to jeopardize the effectiveness of industrial and innovation policies. The country has entered a zone of considerable economic turmoil with several short-term political constraints. To recover, it will be necessary to adhere to long-term innovation commitments and results in an intelligent and rational way. Despite this, Brazil has considerable infrastructure and critical scientific and technological mass, both public and private, for R&D projects. However, these end up meeting the demands of innovation projects in the industrial sectors in a limited way, due to the difficulties of planning, management, risks, and lack of human resources dedicated to the innovation. The indication of technological trends related to the activities of intellectual and scientific production can suggest potential paths for the creation of research and development projects. A descriptive analysis, scientific articles. After collection on Web of Science and Scopus platform, the data were organized in Microsoft Excel software spreadsheets by year. This search returned a sum of 8,730 scientific articles identified with the term smart grid in their title, abstract or keywords by Web of Science, and 9,454 scientific articles by Scopus. After calculating the total number of publications evaluated between 2008 and 2018, the first 5 countries with the highest publication rates were listed. So we have these countries. At first we have China, United States, Canada, Italy, United Kingdom, and South Korea. From the identification of the 5 countries with the highest number of registered publications, it was possible to analyze an annual evolution of their deposits by the Web of Science. Here, we have an annual evolution of your patent fillings. You can see China in orange, just increasing here. The behavior of each of these countries is presented separately, and it's possible linearity can be observed in the annual registration in countries such as United States, South Korea, Canada, and Italy. Final considerations. The main objective of the work was to present trends capable of assisting in the identification of scenarios for smart grids from a scientific and intellectual point of view. For Brazil, to improve its activity in the items 163 researched in this work, it is possible to give more emphasis to the resulting aspects, using in a strategic way what the best practices, who and what are doing. The main object was to present the trends capable of assisting and in the identification of scenarios for smart grids from a scientific and intellectual point of view. As for the analysis of intellectual production, we're talking about patents, it can be seen that the curve that represents the activity of registering patents in China has a behavior similar to an S curve, demonstrating a relatively high level of variation, and the trend suggests that it is slightly decreasing. South Korea was ahead of China in mid of 2013 and then showed a decline. However, in 2018, South Korea shows signs of a return to growth. The USA is also reinforced as a country of attention for the coming years in this regard. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, spreading knowledge, sharing knowledge with everybody. Thanks IIU for this opportunity, Dr. Supriya and Mina for this opportunity. Thank you very much for being here.